of exorcists going on a mission to erase a ghost from existence, and they freak out when they see a dead body lying in the corner. They spot a smartphone in front of him and a ghost comes out of it. The leader of the exorcists uses his phone to scan the ghost and find more details about it, and he learns that they have information about him in the database. However, the moment the information is available, the bald exorcist tells his team to run away instantly. Unfortunately, the ghost doesn't give them the chance to do that and instantly kills them with a blazing blue flame. Zaki tells Aori that this ghost account is called Sad Boy K, and they don't know who he was when he was a real person. However, the only thing they are sure of is that he is incredibly powerful and the #1 enemy of exorcists. But more importantly, he is the ghost account that killed Aori's sister. Aori is shocked to hear that, and even more when he realizes that the ghost uses the same blue flames as him. Zaki tells him that Sad Boy's ability is called the Demon Flame, and it is a cursed ability that steals the life force of anyone it touches. Aori sees the faces on the victims and the tears of blood coming out of their eyes, which is exactly what happened to Akari. He asks Zaki how can he have the same ability as the guy that killed his sister. Zaki says he has no idea about that either, and that only leads to more questions in Aori's mind. He begins to grow nervous that he was using such a deadly ability against Cuckoo, and Zaki laughs, saying that it is a good thing that no one died. Aori then asks how does he stay safe when he is surrounded by the deadly flames, and Zaki asks if a snake ever died from its own poison. All this is too much for Aori to process, and he tells Zaki that he needs to go home and take a few days to cool down and internalize his new life. However, Cuckoo and others from Class 1B come there just then and tell him that there is no way in hell he is leaving now. Zaki introduces them to Aori as his students and asks everyone to get along well with their new classmate. But Cuckoo immediately starts poking him, saying that no one wants to be classmates with a guy whose flames could kill them easily, but they have to watch over him so that he doesn't turn into a villain. Cuckoo calls the entire situation a flaming pile of shit, but then a blonde guy named Ren pushes him to the side and introduces himself to Aori. He tells him not to mind Cuckoo too much, because he is actually a nice guy after you get to know him. After that, a talking doll named Hajime comes forward and tells Aori that Cuckoo is just mad because he landed a hit on him. Aori freaks out on seeing Annabelle's cousin, but she tells him that she live streams games and they should do a collab someday. Ren immediately tells Aori to get ready for a selfie, while the rest of his classmates watch the chaotic people living their lives. With that, Zaki tells Aori that he needs to pass one more test before he becomes a full-fledged exorcist. He takes him to the training room where a golden device is ready to measure his combat abilities. Zaki tells Aori that if he passes this test, he will be sent out on the field as an exorcist, and he will run into Sad Boy K sooner or later. Aori gets fired up at the idea of facing his sister's killer, and he tells Zaki to start the test. Zaki presses a button, and 2 pink jennies pop out of the golden lamp. Zaki tells Aori that they are artificial spirits used to train exorcists, and he needs to beat 100 of them if he wants to pass the test. He warns him not to underestimate the artificial spirits, but Aori is confident that he can beat any enemy. He pulls out his blue flame sword from his smartphone and makes quick work of the first spirit that attacks him, but Zaki ends the test with that. Aori asks him why he stopped, and he realizes the answer the very next moment. He starts feeling dizzy and loses his balance, and Zaki tells him to look at his phone's battery because that is synced with his spiritual power. The battery has reached 0, which means Aori has used up all his spiritual power, and now he is as useless as a dead phone. Aori collapses with that, and when he wakes up, he finds everyone having a fancy dinner in the traditional Japanese way. Zaki tells him that he was already tired after his fight with Cuckoo, and the test was just a setup to make him experience how it feels to run out of battery. Aori understands it now, but what confuses him is how it is dinner time already when he wasn't passed out for long. Zaki tells him that once his battery runs out, he will stay unconscious for about 5 hours, and during that time, he won't wake up no matter what. On the field, that will get him killed, and even if he survives, he will still drag his team down if he becomes a vegetable. Aori feels that he has too much to learn, but Zaki asks him not to get disappointed that he finished so quickly, because it just shows how powerful his ability is. Aori is still feeling dejected about that, and Zaki tells him to eat to regain his strength. He tells him that the big test is in a week, and he only gets 1 shot, so he should not fail, otherwise he will be captured and tortured. Aori is horrified at this, and Zaki says that a lot of people here think that he must be related to Sad Boy, who has killed countless exorcists, and they want revenge on him desperately. If Aori fails to become an exorcist, he will be labeled a danger and dealt with, so he should work hard and pass the test. With that, everyone goes to their rooms and Aori asks Cuckoo where is his room. Cuckoo tells him not to be stupid because they are not going to let a ticking bomb like him stay unsupervised. Aori is going to share a room with Cuckoo, who is not at all pleased to do that. But someone has got to take responsibility. Suddenly, Aori starts staring at him with a dissatisfied expression on his face, and Cuckoo thinks that he is just not happy to share the room with him. However, Aori bows before him and requests him to train him so that he can pass the test in a week. Cuckoo spits out his tea on hearing this and asks what kind of ragebaiter bows down like this to a guy who beat him. Aori tells him that he has no pride and he accepts that Cuckoo is much stronger than him, so he needs his help. Cuckoo is taken aback at his humility and tells him that he was going to train him either way because Zaki ordered him to do it. Earlier, when Aori passed out at the training hall, Zaki told Cuckoo that he would train him, and he was really against the idea because he hates ragebaiters from the bottom of his heart, while Loki being one. Zaki just told him that it would be the best thing not only for Aori but for Cuckoo too, and in the end, he accepted the order. Now, as they brush together like a couple that has just started living together, Cuckoo Loki hopes that Aori is a coward who gets afraid of the test and runs away. The next day, Aori challenges the pink Jennies again and he runs out of battery very rapidly. Cuckoo tells him that he is going full throttle from the beginning and tells him to restrain his power more. Aori has no idea how to do that, and Cuckoo tells him to imagine something like reducing the flame of a lighter or putting out a campfire. But if he can imagine something more unique and personal, it will work better. Aori can't do that, and in the end, he collapses after defeating 35 training spirits. The next day, Ren, Hajaim, and the other blondie decide to see Aori's progress, and they are impressed that he can reach the 30s so easily despite just awakening 2 days ago. However, he collapses at 31, so he thinks of a unique idea the next day. He pumps himself full of caffeine so that he doesn't fall asleep. But even then, he can only beat 41 practice dummies. The next day, he becomes more efficient and beats 49 dummies, and even the goth baddie decides to see what he is up to. No matter what Aori does, he cannot even cross the halfway mark, and Cuckoo keeps telling him to imagine something that helps him control his power. Even by the end of the 6th day, Aori has made no progress, and he decides to distract himself from it by eating some stuffed buns. Cuckoo asks how can he be so carefree when the big test is tomorrow? Because Zaki was not lying when he said that the people here are going to torture and kill him if he fails. Cuckoo starts look-maxing as he tells Aori that he will be nothing but bones when people are done with him. And that reminds Aori of something. He says that he needs to go home immediately, and Cuckoo thinks that he is finally going to chicken out right before the main event. However, Aori is only concerned that he left his room's door open when Cuckoo attacked him, and Akari's pictures and remains are lying in the open. He feels that some pervert might try to steal them. But Cuckoo thinks that this is just an excuse to run away. Aori tells him that he is not going to run away, because his only goal in life is to get revenge for his sister. The next day, it is time for his final test, and everyone from the school has assembled to watch it. The teachers who hate Aori for his abilities are sure that he will fail, and they will dispose of him. And they start the test with a mean smirk on their face. Aori begins defeating the artificial spirits quickly with his flame sword. But he still can't control its power and drops to 30% battery even before he has defeated 30 of the spirits. His classmates cheer on him to do his best, but then something inside Cuckoo snaps and he starts dissing Aori. He calls him a piece of shit ragebaiter who is all talk and no show. His classmates turn against him and ask what the hell is he doing. But Cuckoo continues to ragebait a professional ragebaiter with a smug smile on his face. Soon, the people who hate Aori also join the bandwagon and start cursing him loudly. They tell him to hurry up and fail already. But Aori keeps defeating the artificial spirits while enduring their insults. All this reminds him of the time he first started making ragebait content, and the negative comments he got scared him to death. He thought about giving up. But whenever he saw his sister coughing blood, he realized that nothing could scare him more than that. He was ready to do anything to earn enough money to treat her, and in that moment, he began seeing his haters as the people who are helping him earn money through their hate. That moment helped him control his emotions, and Aori is able to use the same feeling to channel his power properly. His flame sword becomes smaller and sharper, and he manages to defeat 100 practice dummies without passing out. No one can believe their eyes when they see this, but Zaki realizes the brilliance of Cuckoo's plan. Cuckoo deliberately turned the crowd against Aori, letting him get into the correct headspace as a ragebaiter. and that is how he was able to control his power. However, the dude with long hair who hates Aori the most can't stomach this result, and he activates the machine again, summoning up the most powerful version of the test dummies. Coincidentally, Aori was also not satisfied by clearing the tests, and he lets out his wild side by demolishing the strong spirits as well. He eventually defeats 161 spirits, and then the machine runs out of power. Everyone is surprised because Aori just broke the record for the most spirits defeated in a test, and Zaki praises himself for pairing Aori with Cuckoo. The next day, Aori officially starts school, and he is shocked to realize that they have to study normie subjects too. Once the class finishes, Ren tells him to feel free to ask for help if he ever feels stuck, and he immediately proceeds to take a selfie. Hajime comes there for the next selfie and asks the blonde dude Emo to join them as well. While Emo explains that he is camera shy, Aori begins wondering what abilities each of them have. Hajime says that she is glad he didn't get tortured, and he says that it is all thanks to Cuckoo. He turns around to thank him properly, but Cuckoo is pissed after seeing Aori go berserk yesterday. He accuses him of being another ragebaiter who thrives when people are angry at him. Aori says that it is not like that, but then the goth Yuru tells both of them to shut up. She says that anyone with offensive abilities has a terrible personality, and that includes Cuckoo too. Cuckoo is offended that Yuru put him and Aori in the same category. He tells her to take it back, and they start telling each other to piss off. Just then, Zaki comes there to tell them that he has got a mission for them, and he is going to let Aori pop his cherry with this one. He then wonders who to send along with him because exorcism is all about teamwork, and as soon as he sees Cuckoo